That's a good one.
Hill Kings Podcast.
It's 7 o'clock on the dot. I need a crack rock on the spot.
Ooh.
Welcome back. It's 7:18 p.m. on a Thursday night, and Chris just washed a little baby boy.
Yep. Gave a baby a bath.
We
GH is all clean.
We talking sink? We talking tub? What's the situation there?
Yeah, he's in the tub. We got him got a little tub lounger for the lad.
A tub lounger?
Yeah, dude. It's like a little
God damn,
like
man.
a little thing, dude. Yeah,
I didn't
man.
know y'all had tub lounger money.
Yeah, dude. We're
Sheesh.
real tub thumpers.
Oh, love that reference.
Yeah,
Actually love that reference.
I think we've made Chumbawamba references on this podcast.
He drinks a whiskey drink. He drinks a vodka drink. He drinks a lager drink. He drinks a cider drink. He sings the songs that remind him of the good times. He sings the songs that remind him of the better times.
Wait, is that Chumbawamba?
Yeah, man.
Oh, is it? Shit if
Yeah.
I know.
Tub thumping.
Oh.
Anywho,
I'm
that
out
was
of
a
it.
little plug for Chumbawamba, a Chumby
Check 'em
Wumbie
out.
plug.
Little band called Chumbawamba. Maybe you've heard of them.
This is, 90s. This is the Hill Kings podcast.
Yes.
We talk all things 90s on this show.
We do.
Hosted, of course, by a couple of old pals that
Couple of
like to
lads.
watch cartoons
Couple of chumbas.
from across the country from one another.
Couple
It's
of
almost
uncles.
a way for us to connect with each other and
Whoa.
our nephews.
Oh, is it? I got to get out of here then.
Yeah,
Sick.
believe it or not, Chris, you are connecting with me on an emotional level.
Oh.
Today we're talking about we're going to talk about episode 5 of season 2, which is called Jumpin' Crack Bass. It's a gas.
It's a gas.
A little bit of a
Parentheses.
mouthful of an episode title.
Mm-hmm.
All about fishing.
Yeah.
Were you
This
a
episode's-
fishing boy growing up?
this episode's
Were you a
really gonna hook
fishing
ya.
boy? Hey, all
Um,
right, I gotta go.
Hey, yep.
Yep.
Uh,
Just end it there.
yeah.
All
We
right, see ya,
we
man.
did plenty of fishing growing up. My grandpa, the one who reminds me a lot of Cotton, he was a real angler, had his own boat. He fished in tournaments and stuff. So when we'd go down to visit him in Houston, yeah, we'd fish. And then yeah,
Nice.
we'd fish at like scouts and all that type of stuff. So yeah. What about you, Brad? Are you an angler? Or are you a dangler?
I'm definitely a dangler. No, I fished quite a bit growing up, actually.
Yeah.
We would fish. We lived like right next to a river. We would also fish on the ocean because I grew up in northeastern Canada. We would fish for
Lay-
mackerel.
Laotian?
We would fish on Laotian.
Yeah.
And I still occasionally, from time to time, will get out there. I've got a little tenkara fly rod,
Ooh.
reelless,
Fancy
Japanese
boy.
style.
Ooh.
Yeah, rarely. I hate catching fish.
Yeah.
I like the act of like being out there on a boat or like
Uh-huh.
wading in a river. But if I get one on the line, it's kind of icky for my
Stressful.
hands
Oh, you don't like to touch the fish?
I just feel bad for the little guys.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to like hurt them.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Interesting. Well, you and Hank are gonna have that in common when we get into it about the act of fishing.
Yes, I did relate to Hank a lot in this episode. This is 2 episodes in a row where I was kind of like, I think I'm becoming a Hank fan.
Yeah.
I kind of hated his
Season 2 is
flat ass in season 1, but he's
Getting you
kind
on
of
the
winning
Hank?
me over, brother.
he's on the Hank train.
I'm on the hunt for Hank. Before we talk about the episode, do you want to hit him with everybody's favorite segment that we always open
yeah.
the show with?
Absolutely.
That we like to call, say it with me, Chris.
This week. This week in Arlen.
All right. This week in Arlen, the week in question, November 2nd, 1997, which was the week that this episode aired, we are going to
Mhm.
look at what was happening in the world around the time. You know, we always like to start them off with a look at the TV guide. Once again, apologies to TV Tango. It was my fault that it wasn't working. It was a cookies issue. But we're back. Anything stand out to you from this here slate of television for a
Just
Sunday night?
real quick, we got a World's Funniest on Fox. I love that. I love a
Mm-hmm.
World's Anything.
Yep.
NBC has got Men Behaving Badly, Spoils of War.
Yep.
Uh, a
That was a
real,
sitcom, correct? I don't
oh,
remember that one.
was it? I think it was one of those dirty movies.
No, 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 no. It is a
Speaking of dirty
British
movies,
sitcom that was created and written by Simon Nye, starring
oh,
Martin Clunes
oh, of
as
course.
Gary Strang.
Nice. Any,
Those all
any,
sound like fake names.
yeah, they do. If you're a Men Behaving Badly fan, hop in the comments and let us know what
Yeah,
we're missing,
I do
please.
not remember that show. NBC trying to compete with The Simpsons with men behaving badly.
What's going on?
Wow.
I'm curious about what's going on in the 9:30 time slot on the WB for a show called All Right Already.
All
This
right,
episode
already.
is
Again with the
again with the
porno
porno
video.
video.
Oh my God.
Like the WB is talking about porno video? Whoa.
All right. Oh, okay, that pulled up Pornhub.
It's that kind of podcast.
The second result that came up, I'll share a screenshot here for
No.
the video listeners.
Ben, turn this off.
Well, I'm not showing porn. It's just the Google search results. First one was a YouTube video that is titled "All Right Already" again with the porn video. It says Carol and Renee watch a porn video and make an unexpected discovery about one of its actors. So I'm assuming that's
Oh,
this
interesting.
sitcom.
That's a funny plot line.
Second result, Pornhub.com. All right, already porn videos. Third result, xnxx.com. Free porn
Oh.
sex 2 videos. Fourth result, youporn.com.
Wow.
Fifth result, Pornhub.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've
So it's
never heard of
mostly
any
porn.
of those websites.
Yeah, me either, man. Me
Uh,
either.
kind
There
of a slow
is
night overall
a
on this on the night.
yeah, there's a full re-upload of this. Oh wait, no, it's only a clip. But this is a sitcom.
Ah,
Confirmed.
okay. I figured
It
it.
is
I figured
not
it was
it is not a porn video
on the WB.
on the WB. We got Jenny, we got House of Frankenstein. This is a remake of the 1944 Boris Karloff
Oh,
horror
interesting.
movie, which is one of those like classic like monster films. Like it had Dracula, it had the
Uh-huh.
Wolfman. He played Frankenstein in the like 30s Frankenstein movie and like Bride of
Yeah.
Frankenstein. Boris Karloff, he also did the voice of the Grinch famously
Uh-huh.
in that like animated Grinch movie.
The OG Grinch.
Yeah, they remade this movie and it looks oh my God, so bad.
Yeah.
Uh
It's a
not great
90s
ratings,
remake.
not great ratings, but yeah, it looks pretty bad. And we also Simpsons check if you want to go to the next slide.
I was gonna say, go ahead and tell me about this Simpsons.
Yeah, I've started watching the
The cartridge,
Simpsons
the cartridge
episodes
family.
that go along with the King of the Hill episodes. I think I'm going to start doing that for everyone because this, of course, I've mentioned a bunch of times, this is the area of the Simpsons where Mike Scully took over as showrunner, I believe because Mike Reese left to go work on Futurama.
Ah,
And a
for
phenomenon called jerk ass Homer started where they just like completely fucked up Homer's character and just made him like a
interesting.
dumb piece of shit asshole.
Mm,
Like he's always been a dumb character and like made poor decisions, but in this era of The Simpsons, there are episodes where he's just like a piece of shit.
interesting.
And this is one of those episodes, in my opinion. It's the
Uh,
one
we're
where there's a riot because there's a soccer game in Springfield and it's so boring that everyone's
It's
just
funny.
like they start a riot because everyone's trying to leave at the same time because soccer is so boring. So there are
That's
moments of
funny.
the episode being very funny, but because of that, because of this large riot, they want home protection. Homer buys a gun, joins the NRA. Marge leaves him because he won't get rid of the gun, and
Interesting.
he like lies to her a bunch of times and like picks the gun over Marge. So
Wow.
we just had a King of the Hill gun episode as the season opener
Yeah.
for this season of King of the Hill, and then The
Uh-huh.
Simpsons follow it up shortly thereafter with a
Interesting.
gun episode.
Hey, we're one step closer to becoming the Simpsons podcast you've always wanted.
Hey, you know me. But moving Rice along, Cold
This
Mountain.
week in Springfield.
Hey, I love that. That
You
was
ain't never
this
gonna
week
take
in
Cold
spring.
Mountain.
So Cold Mountain, the book came out, not the 2003 film starring Nicole Kidman and Jude Law.
You ain't
And
never gonna take Cold Mountain.
it was the New York Times bestseller, and you ain't never gonna take Cold Mountain,
You ain't
of
never gonna take
course.
Cold Mountain.
I'm assuming that's a quote from the movie.
It
Never
is.
seen
And
it.
I think there's also, I feel like I could be getting this wrong. I feel like Robot Chicken spoofs it, or maybe some other show spoofs it, and they just keep
Talk about a
saying
show
that
that went downhill, huh?
Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
They just in whoever's spoofing it, they just keep saying that line. You ain't never gonna take Cold Mountain.
Love that.
Kyle should be familiar with that line.
Yeah,
Shout out
chime
to
in,
Kyle.
Kyle. Don't leave us another 4-star review, you asshole. But
Yeah, and don't forget, you
chime
ain't
in.
never gonna take Cold Mountain.
And you ain't, yeah, especially after that 4-star review. You ain't never gonna take Cold Mountain.
Never, never.
Some sick ass Richard Gere action. A movie called
Yeah.
Red Corner came out that got a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oof.
What happened to Richard Gere? He was so famous for a short period of time.
I have no idea, man.
If
He's a
anyone
handsome looking
knows,
guy, though.
yeah, if any nephews know what happened to Richard Gere,
Richard, if you're
he
listening, chime
yeah,
in.
maybe he's a fan. What's up, Richie? Maybe he's a nephew.
I wonder if he goes by Dick in his personal life.
We can only hope. Speaking of weird names, MLB left fielder Ugly Johnny Dickshot passed away at the age of 87. So maybe he
Who
was
told
sitting
you?
down
Who
2
told you my
days before.
nickname?
Ugly Johnny Dickshot.
He's actually a handsome looking guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's-
That's probably why he got the nickname Ugly. It's like, and I read it's kind of like when
ironic.
you call a really short, a really tall guy tiny. you
Yeah.
know?
Ugly.
Yeah, Ugly Johnny Dickshot. Shout out. Hopefully he was watching this episode of King of the Hill as he
R.I.P.
was on his deathbed. Speaking of deathbeds, Marie Antoinette's 242nd birthday. Do you like how I edited us into this little photo of her getting her
Off with her
fucking head
head.
chopped off?
Off with her head.
Yep. Yeah. French Revolution's awesome.
Yeah,
Big
dude. It was a
fan.
wild time.
Big fan. Also, speaking of fucking
Power
royalty
ladies.
and
Yeah.
Europe, we've been talking about Spice Girls pretty much every this
We
week in
have
Arlen.
been talking about
There's been a
Spice
lot
Girls
of
a
Spice
lot.
Girls news. Their fucking album hadn't even come out yet.
Welcome to
It
the
came
Spice
out-
Girls pod.
It came out this week. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
What more Spice Girls content, Brad?
But even more importantly, I actually have this next record on vinyl in this very room, and I listen to it pretty frequently. Canadian
dude.
Queen and Queen of My Heart, Shania Twain's Come On Over came out 2 days later. This
Love
album
Shania.
is, I believe it set a record for most like number one or like charting songs. Like there are like 9 singles on this thing, and
Oh,
they
yeah?
are just all
What else?
bangers.
What else is on that album?
Well, there's Come On Over. There's Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been
Been
Under?
Whose heart did you steal? I wonder.
There's the So You Think You're Brad Pitt? That don't impress me
Me
much.
much.
Yeah, tons of bangers. Great album. If you
Tell
haven't
you,
heard it,
Got the
go and
looks,
listen
but
to it.
have you
Nephews.
got the touch? Don't
Uh,
get me wrong. Yeah, I think you're all right. While I won't keep me warm in the middle of the night. Hell yeah. Dang, there
It
are
was
lots of bangers on
also
there, I guess.
Nellie's 23rd birthday.
Nice.
So shout out to Nelly. And
Yeah.
Schwimmy's 31st. In birthday news, David Schwimmy, peak of
Wow.
his career. Friends was airing at this point, I believe.
Uh-huh. Yep.
NBC had Thursday nights. They didn't have Sunday, but holy shit, did they have Thursdays. Seinfeld, Friends. Let's talk about it.
Were you a Friends guy?
Fuck yes, I was, dude. And all of this Friends hate that's out there amongst these Gen Z fucking tools.
Wow.
They can
Just
just suck my hairy French
Canadian.
Canadian hole. How
Wow.
about? Yeah, I said it. Friends is
Uh
good.
I'm gonna side with the Gen Zs here.
You're
I think
wrong.
Friends is mid.
Why? Wrong.
It's a little forced for me. Um
In
it's a
what
little
way?
forced. Just the
Elaborate. This
scening.
is an argument now.
Honestly, Schwimmer might be my least favorite of the Friends.
Schwimmer's everyone's least favorite. Ross is a horrible character.
Yeah, he kind of is. I like Joey. Joey's fine.
Everyone, Joey, Chandler. Rachel's actually my favorite character, not because
Yeah,
I was in love with Jennifer Aniston, but
I was
because
gonna say,
she shows the most growth as a
yeah,
character.
the exception of Jennifer Aniston in Friends. And you know, I like
Courtney
Lisa
Cox
Kudrow
was
in everything
fucking
else.
fine too. And Phoebe is maybe the best character. Lisa Kudrow is great in that show.
Yeah. I don't know.
Come at me.
It never really gripped me. I never like was like, oh, super hooked on Friends.
Yeah, it must not have been an Edmund thing, you know?
I wouldn't know.
But that'll do it. That'll do it for this week in Arlen, Chris. We can argue about Friends some other time. We have an episode to talk about here. Episode 205, you are driving the mower
I
for this
am.
one.
Yes,
You
I
wanna tell
am.
us about it? You wanna tell us about this episode?
Yeah, dude. Let's crack into it. Yeah, season 2, episode 5, Jumpin' Crack Bass. It's a
Crack.
gas.
Literal crack.
Uh,
Cocaine.
airing November 2nd, 1997. Your quip is in an effort to catch more fish than his friends, Hank decides to buy special bait from a street vendor. He soon finds himself in trouble with the law.
Well been there.
This is going to be
I'm about to bust.
the drug use episode. This is going to be King of the Hills, one of their drug episodes.
Very special episode.
Before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about the details up top.
Crack. Let's talk a little bit about crack cocaine.
Talk about crack
and the crack epidemic in the 80s.
This was written by Judge Daniels and Cohen, of course, a power trio, directed by Archer and McCarver. Gary McCarver directed a couple of different episodes of King of the Hill. He was involved in Rocco's Modern Life. I know you're a big Rocco's Modern Life fan.
Rocco's Modern Life.
He was also involved with The Simpsons, as a lot of people on King of the Hill were. And then Gary McCarver, one of the directors of this episode, also involved in VeggieTales.
Interesting.
Yeah. We do have a
Christian animated program about vegetables and
yes.
Jesus.
Honestly, if you don't know the cheeseburger song, like
I don't.
Oh, you never had to watch VeggieTales?
No, I did not.
Oh,
man. Bad. So you like VeggieTales, but you hate Friends? Get him in the comments.
Look, the VeggieTales are a better group of friends than the Friends.
Actually, yeah, all of the characters in Friends are kind of horrible fucking people.
Yeah. And all the friends in VeggieTales are vegetables.
And horrible fucking people. The cucumber, pedophile.
Bro, don't talk smack on Larry around me, okay?
His name is Larry?
Yeah, dude, his name's
Larry.
He also has a crime fighting alter ego, if you didn't know, Larry Boy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Larry Boy? No, I'm out. I was in and then I'm out. And now
I'll send you some stuff.
I'm gonna come.
Turned on.
Ooh.
Do not come.
Not on the pod, please.
Not again.
We do have a guest star for this one, which we'll talk about whenever his character pops up on screen. We got a mild guest star, but First, we'll talk about the namesake of this episode, Jumpin' Crack Bass. It's a gas, gas, gas.
Rolling
Of course,
Stones.
is a take on the Rolling Stones' Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Yep.
It's a gas, gas, gas. It's one of their most popular, well-known, and most played songs. They've, as of the time of the Wikipedia article I read, they'd played it over 1,100 times live.
Jeez.
Just
Well,
pretty
yeah, they've
wild.
been notoriously touring for
S-
too long.
Still touring right now, I
Yeah.
imagine.
They've had
Um,
about 17 farewell tours, I think.
Yeah, Rolling Stone as early or as recently as 2021, Rolling Stone had it rated as 144 in their top 500 songs of all
Yeah,
time.
their opinions are generally bad when it comes
Yeah,
to
but
music, but
it's still that's just to say it's still a well-known, well-played song. You still
it's a
hear
good
it
song.
all the time, yeah.
Were
And it
you or was your family, were you guys like a Beatles family or a Stones family? I know that's a thing for a lot of
uh
people.
we my mom loved Styx. My
That's
mom was like
awesome.
my mom was like
I love
Styx
that.
and the Eagles and like Tom Petty
Yeah,
and
Tom Petty's great.
Springsteen, all that
Love
type of stuff.
Springsteen.
Yeah,
The
not
Eagles,
quite
there's a
much.
time and a place. I'm not a huge fan of the Eagles, but fucking
Yeah,
Styx rules, dude.
yeah, dude, Styx is dope.
With Steely Dan, she likes
Hmm.
Steely Dan.
A little bit. It wasn't her main. It wasn't her main
Oh,
jive, but
I love the
uh,
Dan.
yeah. So that's kind of where this episode gets its title name from, and the song is about being in a down place and getting back up out of it.
It is.
Yeah. So
Huh.
that's yeah.
I never looked into the lyrics
Oh yeah.
that far, I guess.
Um, check that song out if you
Yeah,
nephews haven't heard it.
I actually really like the version that Leon Russell
Oh
of
yeah.
Oklahoma fame from Lawton,
Yes,
Oklahoma, where I
of
went
course.
to high school. He popularized that song, kind of gave it a second life in the 70s.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a great song. So check it out. But I'm driving the mower, so this episode opens on a hot open, no cold open. It's just theme
Hot
song and right into the episode. We're gonna start out with Hank and Bobby in the wee hours of the morning, digging around in the dirt to try to
at the
find some
park.
worms. Yeah, at the
Why
public
not
park.
like at their house?
Yeah, good question. I'm guessing they were lakeside, was my
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, more moisture in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so Bobby wants to know why they can't just buy worms or why they can't just buy fish. Uh, and Hank kind of goes into this lecture. He says, the sport of fishing, and it is a sport, which I thought was pretty funny.
I love that.
Um, it kind of all everything begins with a hand dug American worm for Hank.
Yeah.
He's Hank is all about the process and the ethic behind doing something.
Yep.
So Hank is kind of waxing poetic about fishing, and he says fishing is great. Um, you can sit around all day and kind of doing nothing, and whenever he says that you forget about everything about paying your bills. You forget about who's going to take care of Bobby if something happens to him. Uh, he also says you can forget about that pushy lady trying to get into the Citadel. Did you look into that line?
I did not look into that line,
Uh,
but I figured that it was a reference to some political.
some obscure 90s culture. Yeah, there was a lady by the name of Shannon Faulkner who was trying to get into the Citadel, which is a military college at the time, was all male. So this was a kind of a gender equality push.
Oh, I
Um,
thought maybe it was like a Lauren, what's her name? Ashley Bobbitt, that lady
yeah,
who got shot during January 6th.
yeah,
I thought it
no,
was
not
like she's trying to push her way in type of thing.
no, no.
Okay.
It was about a lady trying to get into an all male institution, and she succeeded getting into the military
Oh, I bet
academy.
they were very courteous and understanding and patient about that,
She
weren't
did
they?
not complete the program. Yes.
Yeah.
But she said in an interview that she didn't do it for her. She did it for the next woman in line. So I guess shout out to Shannon Faulkner. But
Oh yeah.
Hank says that whenever he's fishing,
Hank's not a fan.
he can forget about all that.
That's really weighing on his mind,
Yeah,
as it probably was for a lot of conservatives at the
uh
time.
so Hank's kind of waxing poetic, but he gets snapped out of his kind of speech because his the horn to his truck is going off and
Getting
somebody's trying to
jacked.
yeah somebody's trying to break into his truck. And Hank is going to make a citizen's arrest of a guy. And the guy's like, "You can't do that." And Hank says, "The hell I can." And Bobby says, "The hell he can." Hank says, "Bobby language." Um, so yeah, we cut from there to a court scene.
Straight to the courthouse.
Hank did bring this guy in. The judge character
Oh, was that the
is
guest star?
this is our guest star here.
Okay.
So Judge Roland McFarland is played by a man named James Carville.
Okay.
Uh, James Carville is an interesting guest star because he's an actor, producer, but really his claim to fame comes from politics.
Holy shit! Yeah, I
Yeah.
know this guy. God
So
damn,
yeah, James Carville. First of all, he's a veteran of the Korean War. He was in the Navy.
dude. Jon
Uh,
Stewart used to make fun of this guy all the time on the Daily Show.
yeah, he's kind of got a character about him, and
Yeah,
a
he's
lot
like
of
super
stuff.
Louisiana-ish, right?
Yeah, he's from Louisiana. His nickname is the Raging Cajun.
That's it. Shit.
He
Damn, that
uh
guy was in this episode.
he was the
Crazy.
lead strategist for Bill Clinton's 1992 win for office. So
Ah,
he was on the Clinton campaign team. He's still active in politics today, actually, and a little bit of acting. He usually plays himself,
yeah.
where he plays him, or he plays essentially a character that is himself. Um, but yeah, he helped Bill Clinton get elected in '92. He also worked for
Interesting.
Hillary in 2008 when she lost.
Ah,
Uh, he was, I think, working as recently as 2020 for some Democratic nominee who washed out.
hmm.
Um, he does
Booted,
have adult.
booted eggs.
I don't think booty eggs. No,
Booty.
uh, I don't think him. No. He does have adult ADHD, which he does a lot of like fundraising for institutions of like children and adults with ADHD.
For all of those misdiagnoses of
Hmm.
ADHD that are going on right now.
Fun fact, he met his wife on the campaign trail while he was working for Clinton and she was working for H.W. Bush. So
Wow. What a
he met,
love story, dude.
I know, right? Um,
That should be a rom-com.
he appears in The Wedding Crashers. He's in an
I was
episode
about
of
to say, I feel
Family
like,
Guy. Hmm.
damn.
He also makes an appearance in the Muppets movie from 2011.
Yep.
I know you love the
The
Muppets, so
Jason
yeah,
Segel one, right?
I
Don't get
think
me
so. Yeah,
started on that movie, dude. I fucking
yeah.
love that movie so
We don't
much.
have the time.
Brett from Flight of the Conchords wrote the music for that movie.
Hmm. Chef's kiss,
It's excellent.
Swedish chef's kiss.
Hurdy, 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 hurdy.
Yeah, so that's
Love
our
it.
guest star is going to be James Carville.
I do love
He's going to
that
be playing the judge.
that they say something about him being a Carter appointee judge,
Yeah,
especially knowing that he worked for Bill Clinton now.
he says something about the criminal having rights,
Yeah.
and Hank is going to
He's
whisper to
like, "Oh
Peggy.
God."
He's going to be like, rights. This better not be one of these Carter appointee judges. And Peggy's going to point out that this judge is known for his creative sentencing,
Hmm.
and he sentences the truck thief to 90 days living in a truck, and then he
Love
says,
that.
an import, and that causes
They're like,
the whole yeah, the crowd gives the gas that he has to spend 90 days in an imported truck. And Peggy's gonna lean over to the woman next to her in this, and
extremely pregnant lady.
yes, and say something about they need to lock him up or whatever, and she's like, "That's my boyfriend," and Peggy is like, "Huh?" Just like taken aback that
No, she's like, boyfriend.
boyfriend. Yeah, they're having this child out of wedlock, which is
That
really
was
shocking
great.
to Peggy.
Whenever he said the thing about the 90-day sentence thing, my initial thought was like, was that just like a throwaway joke? It's weird that they would say that and have that not come back somehow, but the way that that ties in at the
Yeah,
end, just that
they
like he has creative sentencing.
yeah,
I thought
that's
that
I
was
think
so smart. That's such a good little like writing note for this
yeah,
episode.
it was very, they set it up nicely. The ending is set up from the beginning, kind of. Um, yeah, we get a lot of nice kind of circle back comeuppance
It's a
in this
well-written
episode.
episode.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I do have a qualm later that we'll talk about in the alley. So
Oh.
remind me to talk about my qualm. But
Don't don't forget, listeners.
uh,
Remind Chris about his qualm.
uh,
Okay?
so after the sentencing, Hank goes to the impound lot to pick up his truck, and he finds it
Fucked
absolutely
up.
torn apart. Um,
Because drugs could have touched it.
Hank was like, he was only in my front seat for a minute. He didn't hide drugs in my spark plugs. And the guy was like, well, we know that now, Mr. Hill. So Hank gets his property just absolutely disrespected by the police. Go figure.
And guess who's gonna
Uh,
put the bish back together?
oh, you know it's Luann.
It's my
Um,
girl.
so this causes Hank a lot of stress. We're back at the Hill house now. Hank is pacing around the kitchen looking for his fishing shears. Peggy tells him he needs to calm down. Min gave her some ginseng tea, and Hank absolutely scoffs at this and says that he doesn't take drugs. He doesn't even want any ginseng tea. Hank's just really, really stressed out in the kitchen. We get another line here about, I think Peggy brings it up again, but she says, who will take care? She's saying something about who will take care of Bobby. And we get a look on Bobby's face where he's kind of like, a little bit startled and maybe like worried. That's the second time in this episode they've referenced who will take care of Bobby
Yeah.
whenever they're gone.
That's interesting. I didn't really catch that. I did
Yeah,
love in this scene that they started with like all of his truck's parts just like spread across the
on the
entire
lawn.
lawn, and then
Hmm.
Luann comes in looking all sporty. Like
She's
she's
got a
definitely
ball cap on. Yeah,
been out there for a while, just like toiling away, and Hank is just like, I'm stressed. I need to go fishing.
yeah. Luann says whenever Hank's talking about being stressed, Luann says, whenever she's stressed at beauty school,
Yeah.
she just
Yeah.
does yoga. She says, I can put my legs behind my head. Do you want to see?
I
And
love
Hank
that.
says, Hank says, keep your legs below your waist.
I love any moment of Hank being afraid of Luann.
Yeah, so
It's
funny.
always good.
So yeah, Luann's gonna work on the truck. Canonically, Luann can put her legs behind her head and Hank is Hank's gonna get into a rented car.
I love
Uh
this rental that he's driving around.
this little
So
purple
cute.
subcompact
It's like a
car that he's
Toyota
got.
Camry.
Yeah. Smaller than that, man. It's like a Kia Rio or something.
I've never been in a
Um
Camry. I drive a
uh
Lamborghini.
yes. Lamborghini Mercy. Yo chick, she's so thirsty. Um so Hank meets the guys out on the lake, and Hank starts giving the guys crap for their cheater bait.
Do you check
Dale's
out his
got some,
steez though at the start of this scene with the
yeah, dude,
Bass
with the
Pro
Bass
Shops
Pro
hat?
cap. Mm-hmm.
Fucking Logan Paul looking ass.
Yeah. Um, Classic Bass Pro hat, never goes out of style.
Oh,
Um,
fuck boys love him now.
y'all don't be wearing Bass Pro hats out up there in the Pacific Northwest.
No, the people who do are like fuck boy
Oh,
social media influencers.
oh, nowadays, oh man, they're all
Yeah.
over
It's
they've been all
become
over the
like a
place
kind of
down
like
here.
Carhartt where like hipsters and people who don't work with their
Interesting.
hands wear it all the time. It's a similar thing with Bass Pro Shops hats.
Yeah, I feel like down here you see it all over the place,
But yeah, you
either
see it on a guy
or
named Bubba who's going fishing.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
love
yeah,
Bass Pro Shops.
hell yeah, dude. They got the big fish tank in
It's
there.
such a like anthropological experiment to
It
go into
is
that show. It's the best people watching on the planet,
for sure.
and it's such a crazy store.
Yeah. Hank meets the guys out on the lake. Dale's got some garlic scented bait. Boomhauer has an electric lure, apparently. Um, Dale is kind of making fun of Hank for using worms here. He's kind of stuck in the past, back in the days of black and white TV and a democratically elected Congress.
I liked that.
I thought that was very funny. Dale's always getting his little political digs in. Um, but this day, the guys outfish Hank pretty hardcore.
Yep. And
Um,
he's jelly. He's definitely jelly beans about it. They're all
he's
getting their cute little Polaroids taken.
he's miffed, and even Bill starts to be like, "Gee, Hank, I think this is the first time we've outfished you. You haven't even caught a fish." And Hank's like, "You want to go for a swim, Bill?" Uh,
Getting made fun of by Bill.
yeah. So after Hank gets has a bad day of fishing, he's gonna stop by Layaway Ray's bait shop.
Loved this scene.
Yes, this scene was great. It looks like they're going out of business. Hank is like, "What happened, Ray? Did I miss one of your Ray is trout of his mind sales?"
That gave me
And
like Bob's Burgers vibes.
yes, and Ray
Love
says,
that.
"No, Hank, I'm going trout of business."
Do you notice that the voice of Ray is so obviously the same guy that does Bill?
Yes, it's definitely Stephen Root for sure.
Yeah.
He's gonna play a lot of different background voices
He's
all
just
over
doing
this
the voice
show.
from his character
Office
in Office
Space.
Space for
Hmm.
sure.
It's
Yeah,
very soft
loved
kind of
it.
voice. But yeah, Layaway Ray is going out of business, and while Hank is in here, giving asking what he needs and whatnot, Ray is in the process of committing insurance
Committing
fraud.
fucking arson. It's so funny.
It's very
Just
funny.
behind his back, like pouring some gasoline on the floor.
Yes,
He doesn't
so
even
funny.
wait for Hank to drive away to load the store up. Like the pacing of this entire scene and the
Yes.
punchline at the end were
Hmm.
like just perfect. I thought this was
Yes.
so funny.
Well,
And
here.
there's a little bit of in my research, Hank like shits on the Megalomart. Like basically this
Uh-huh.
guy is saying business is so bad because the Megalomart moved in.
Yep.
I guess later on you can see this dude working at the Megalomart.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, nice. Good catch. Um, a couple other funny lines here in the shop. Ray is like, "What happened, Hank? You're giving up the worm?" Which I thought was kind of silly. And then,
Quitting worm.
he's like, "Well, have you tried this, this, and this?" And Hank says, "It doesn't beat the worm," which I just thought that beat the worm was very silly.
Oh, you gotta beat the worm from time to time.
So as Ray is kind of pushing Hank out the door, he tells him about this guy named Jack who
Yeah.
wrote the book on fishing bait. Of course, he didn't write the book because he doesn't know how to read,
Hmm.
because he didn't go to school or whatever. But he tells Hank where to find this guy Jack, and Hank is out the door here. He's like, "Well, I'll come by tomorrow and pick up your propane tank, Ray." And Ray's like, "Uh-huh. Why don't you call first?"
He's not gonna need it because it
Uh-huh.
is gonna explode, and
And
then the
then
entire building
it just
fucking
blows up.
explodes. So good, so
Yeah,
funny. And then we
such a
get to
funny
see
scene.
Hank in the ghetto.
Yes. So we get
This
we
area of town kind of reminded me of Lubbock.
yeah,
Have you ever been
Lubbock
in
for
like
sure.
rough parts of Lubbock, Texas?
Hmm.
Yeah.
We get a nice shift to some urban music playing, a little hip hop with some record scratching,
Some
very generic.
hippity hop.
Hank is gonna pull up to this guy standing on the street corner, white dude, baggy
Kind of
clothes,
kind of
ball
looks like
cap.
Boomhauer.
Kind of does look like Boomhauer, yeah. Um, but Hank approaches him in such a Mark way, and just the
Yeah.
way that Hank is speaking is so funny because
Yeah.
it absolutely sounds like a drug deal. Hank has no idea, but this guy
Yeah.
thinks he's looking to make a drug score. So he's like, "Hey, Jack, Ray told me that you had the bait." And the guy's like, "Yeah, you call it bait. That's funny. What you need, what you dig, and all this stuff." It's very funny. Hank's like, "Well, I have $20." And he's like, $20 will get you all the bait you need. Rock
I
on.
don't think that's how this guy talked at all, man.
He kind of did. He
Is
talked.
this how he talked like a smooth jazz guy? Hey, I got all the bait you need, baby.
It was a lot faster than that.
Hey, Hank.
It was a lot
Anyway,
faster than that. You're like, "What you got? What you need? I got what you need." But yeah, Hank gives him
wait,
20
hold on,
bucks.
hold on. I want you to reenact. Let's. I'm doing a drug deal from you. So I'm pulling up in my car and I'm asking you for some drugs.
Okay, go
Hey,
for it.
hey, Jack. Ray told me that you have the bait.
Freeze, I'm a cop.
Ah, fuck.
Put your hands behind your bed, scumbag. Uh, yeah, Hank gives him 20 bucks. The guy says rock on and throws 3 vials into Hank's front seat. Hank says, "Ooh, freshness jars. You don't get this in Megalobart." And that's
It's that artisan shit.
that's whenever we cut to our first commercial break is Hank has bought some drugs that
Yeah,
he thinks
I
are fishing
I
bait.
love that he pulls around the corner and you can see the bait guy
Yep.
is
Is right
just
around the
right around the
corner.
corner, and also bait is spelled wrong
Yep.
on the truck because
Because
he's
the guy didn't
illiterate.
go to school. Yeah.
There's just callbacks on top of callbacks in this one.
Mhm.
Excellent.
So yeah, that's our first commercial break. But after we cut back to um, we're immediately out on the lake with the guys. Um, Hank kind of behind everyone's back.
Being super discreet.
Yeah, being super discreet is gonna tie this crack rock on to his his fishing hook, throws it out there, and immediately gets a bite. He says, "Sweet Gene Vincent." Um, you know who Gene Vincent is?
I don't.
He's an early rockabilly artist, kind of
Like Buddy
country rock
Holly-ish type
rockabilly.
guy.
Yep, Gene
Nice.
Vincent.
Oh yeah, yeah. I should have
Um,
known that.
yeah. So he says, "Sweet Gene Vincent." He catches this big old whopper of a fish, um, tosses it back in.
My immediate thought when he catches this fish, because he calls out that it has a weird spot, like I made a note.
What
Uh,
color was it?
it was red. He says it
Yeah,
was red. I'm
I know.
colorblind. You
Trying
can't
to
catch me with
catch.
that one. At least I can listen. I can hear shit. Uh,
Mhm.
I wrote, I bet that
Rats
fish becomes a junkie in
in
my
your
notes.
notes. That's so funny.
I wrote that. Like I did not remember this episode at all, and I was like, I bet that fish is gonna get like addicted to crack, and he's gonna keep catching it over and over.
Yes. So Hank
And
immediately
then
catches that same fish
yeah,
again.
I was like, oh shit, I was right. And then my
As
next note was, I was right about the redhead boy. It's fiending.
um yeah, that fish is fiending it because when Hank pulls the second time when Hank pulls it off of the hook, the fish tries to go back to the hook
Yeah,
like in the air.
and then
Hank
it
is
jumps back into the boat.
it does before before he tosses it back though, Hank has a really funny line. He says, "Come on, darling, time to get wet."
Hold
Nephews.
on, hold on.
I'm about to bust.
Yep. Um yeah, the fish does jump back into the boat though and knocks Bill
Do
out.
not come.
It
Yeah, and
knocks
the
Bill
water
out
is
of the
like
boat.
knee deep,
Yeah,
which I
it's
thought was really funny.
standing depth. Yeah, very funny. But then we pretty much get a montage of
Just
all the boys just really
nabbing fish.
uh-huh. Uh Hank has had a great day. He says he's caught more fish than he did in the 80s, and those were the Reagan years.
Was this like a reference to the crack epidemic in the 80s?
It could have been. It
Like
definitely
without
could have
him
been.
knowing, like that could have that felt like it could have just been like a nod from the writers to
Interesting. I didn't really
him.
think about that, but that
Like
connection is
they're because
definitely
they're just
there.
like equating like him fishing and using that as a coping mechanism for not dealing with the stress in his life to drugs. But he is actually purchasing drugs at the same time without knowing it. Like there's
Yeah.
so many like little comparisons like that in this episode,
And
which
there's
is one of the
also
reasons that I love this episode so much.
he also says caught more fish than in the 80s, and those were the Reagan years, and there's obviously Ronald Reagan's connection to crack
This,
cocaine and the war on
yeah,
drugs in the
exactly.
80s.
Yeah. Dare.
Very funny.
Reagan
Nice.
sucks.
Yes. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Hank is going to sneak back into bed in his fishing clothes, and then like close his eyes for a second and immediately get back out of bed to go fishing.
Yeah, he's
Hank,
fiending.
he's hooked. He's hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's addicted.
He can't get enough.
He cannot. He comes back into the kitchen. Everyone says good morning, and Hank's like, it's been a great morning, talking about catching 2 10-pound bucket mouths on the same hook. Hank gets in the car to go fishing with the guys again after he leaves. Oh no, wait. Let me back it up here. There's a
Bobby
funny
Bobby clowns on Hank for using the miracle bait.
that's I think that's when they're out on the lake, but here in the kitchen there's a little Luann line here.
Oh yeah, she's doing all the work on his truck.
Yes. Yes, she's doing the work on the truck. She says that she's short on a part and she had to ups it like UPS. She says ups it
Oh
instead of
yeah.
UPS.
I don't think I heard that line and I think I was just kind of like, "What?"
Well, Hank is like, that would bother me. Yep, it's kind of bothering me. I gotta go fish. So Hank is like finding any excuse, for his mental health that he
Yeah.
needs to go and fish. He's
He's
making
using
excuses.
fishing as a drug. And
Hmm.
Bobby even in like when Bobby is clowning on Hank for using this bait instead of worms, he makes a reference that almost makes it sound like he's talking about this bait as a gateway drug.
Oh yeah, interesting.
So yeah, they're totally just treating fishing like doing drugs,
Well,
which is really funny.
before Hank takes Bobby fishing, he loads up into the car with the guys, and they're talking about how, they can't wait to use Hank's miracle bait again. And Hank's like, "Well, I'm almost out," and they're like, "Well, at least you have some." And he's like, "Actually, I'm out."
And then he bails on them
And then he bails on him. He's like, "Well, I told Bobby I'd take him fishing today," so he leaves, and the guys are just sitting in Hank's rental car.
for
Um,
like a weird amount of time.
it's very funny that they're just stuck sitting there. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Boomhauer pulls out some gum. Bill's like, "I'll take a piece of that gum." But yeah, then Hank takes Bobby out on the lake, and yeah, Bobby's gonna call him out for using that cheater bait. Hank makes up some excuses about it. They're just fishing all day. Um,
Yeah, Bobby is getting tired because he's having to spend so much time taking the fish off the line and throw it back in.
yeah,
And he wants to
uh,
sit around doing nothing, which
yeah. He's
is
like, "When do we get to the part where I do nothing?"
which is my favorite part about fishing. I'm on his
Yeah,
side here.
there's fishing and there's catching. Two different things, my man.
Yeah, I prefer
Um,
fishing.
so we're back to the house and it's nighttime and there's a noise in the house and Peggy is
Fucking
like,
so good.
Peggy is like, "Wake up, Hank, we're being burglarized." She immediately jumps off, flips over a chair,
Fucking
takes the leg off,
snaps the leg off,
snaps the
like
leg off.
so ready to yeah, I'll put a screenshot
It's
on
so
the
funny.
screen, but like just like she's ready to kill someone.
She
Loved
moves
it.
so quick.
Since
Um,
when does Peggy have that dexterity?
so funny. Um, but it's Dale in the garage. He's
Yeah,
looking
he's
for the
breaking
miracle
in.
bait.
He's fully breaking and entering.
Yes. Hank's got the weed whacker, and Dale's like, "Relax, it's me, Dale Gribble." And Hank's like, "I said drop it," uh, with the weed whacker. And so Dale scrambles out. It's very funny. Hank gets back out onto the lake the next morning, and the fish aren't biting today.
Yeah, they've developed a tolerance, I
They've
think.
developed a tolerance. He comes back after not catching any fish, and he's lamenting to Dale. He actually gives the rest of the bait to Dale. Um, he's like, "Oh, sweet," and he's like, "Wait a second, what's wrong with it?" Um, Dale tells him about Cockroach 101. He's introduced a new element to their ecosystem, and they've gotten used to it. So the
That's
fish have
actually
built up a
pretty true
tolerance.
with
Yeah,
cockroaches and
yeah.
mice and rats.
Hmm.
They learn. They're smart.
Yep. They do. The fish have got it figured out, but Hank says, like maybe I just need stronger bait. So essentially now we get, Hank's got this tolerance and he just needs more. So he's gonna go
Yeah.
back to the urban part of
To
Arlen
Jack.
to Jack. And he's going to
Wait, hold on. Hold on. So he's gonna pull up,
mhm,
or he's actually gonna walk up to Jack in this scene.
mhm.
And he's gonna go up and he's gonna say, "Hey Jack, I need a little bit more bait."
I got what you need. What you need, Jack? Yeah, something strong. What you need is something stronger. This scene does kind of have some fun noir feel to it. It's nighttime now
It
here, and
does, yeah.
Dale is from behind the corner of her garage. Dale is like, "I'll have what he's having."
A
Uh,
little bit of smoke like puffs
yeah,
out.
and then Dale is like, I followed you. Hank's like, what are you doing here? He's like, I followed you here, and I'm gonna need to follow you home.
He said
Uh,
like he like followed every turn.
yeah, he's gonna need to follow him back. But right as they're gonna purchase from Jack,
The
the
sting.
law pulls up. Yep. They are caught. And we kind of cut to commercial as the
Nice little
police pull up
cliffhangy.
here. Yeah, a little cliffhanger here. Come back from commercial break, and Hank is meeting with a lawyer, this ponytailed lawyer guy.
Yeah,
Um,
very classy type lawyer.
and he's like, I swear to you, like I'm telling you, I don't use drugs. I thought it was fishing bait. And the lawyer's like, I don't think this is a good cover. The lawyer asks him, were you abused as a child? To which Hank immediately yells no.
He says
Uh,
like that like often helps
yes, which
in defense.
Hank certainly was emotionally and verbally abused by his
Yeah,
father.
we've met Cotton on the show.
We've gotten flashbacks.
It's pretty certain that Hank was abused as a
Yeah.
child.
But Hank is just so adamant that he wasn't, which I thought was a funny note that we, the viewers, would know. But of course, Hank would say no.
Yeah. And
Um,
Peggy is completely convinced that he's like a
Using
hidden drug
drugs.
addict.
Yes. She blames herself for giving him that ginseng tea
Yeah.
from earlier in the episode.
Which I mentioned also in that scene that Bobby was talking about stuff as if it was a gateway drug.
Yep. Ginseng. Don't drink ginseng tea, folks.
Boix?
Boyks. I started to say folks, and then it came out as boyks. Nephews, you know who you are. Don't drink ginseng. Hank
Boix.
is
That's
Hank
gonna
is
replace
just
nephews.
Boyks. He's just insisting that he didn't do it, and he tells this lawyer he's going to tie that long hair on your head to the short hairs on your ass and kick it.
Loved that.
Thought that was very funny. I always love whenever Hank's talking about kicking an ass and he uses a funny
Yeah.
metaphor. But
Did
we're
you
in the
catch the Bob Dole reference?
yes, yeah. He says I voted for Bob. He never used drugs, and the lawyer says like, well, everybody uses
Everybody,
drugs,
yeah.
even the president. He's like, not my president. I
I
voted
voted
for
for
Dole.
and he says the only thing he's on is painkillers and he earned it.
And he earned it. The strongest thing
Do you
that
know what
Hank
that's
takes.
referencing?
No.
Bob Dole, I didn't know any of
Was he
this.
a POW?
He was injured in Italy during World War II. He like took a German shell. He was
Interesting.
paralyzed from the neck down.
Oh, really?
I pulled this excerpt. He was expected to die after large doses of penicillin were not successful. He overcame the infection with the administration of streptomycin, the first ever use of that drug in a human. He remained despondent, not ready to accept the fact that my life would be changed forever. He also admittedly took part in clinical trials for Viagra.
Hey-o.
So,
Bob Dole.
painkillers were not the only thing that Bob Dole was
Interesting.
on.
I did
He was
not know that
on
about
boner
Bob Dole.
medication.
I knew that Bob Dole was a political figure, but I did not know
Yeah, he ran
that particular
against
part of his backstory.
Clinton, right?
Uh, yes, yeah, because that would have been the reference. I'm
Yeah,
guessing that the lawyer was saying,
because Clinton would have been in office here.
yes, and Bill Clinton famously tried marijuana, but didn't inhale.
Yeah. He also smoked a cigar and blew the smoke in Monica Lewinsky's pussy.
Oh no, he also took a flight on the
He
plane a
also
couple times.
classy guy, classy guy.
Yeah, and our guest star helped him get elected.
Hey,
Whoa.
USA, USA.
So we're in the court now. Speaking of our guest star, we're back in front of Judge Roland
Raging
McFarland,
Cajun.
the Raging Cajun. And he says, Mr. Hill, good to see you again. I'm assuming you are the arresting citizen. And then the judge, finds out what's going on here. Dale immediately is going to go into some sovereign citizen bullshit.
I
It's
wrote the
very
same
funny.
thing down.
Yes.
I wrote Dale is one of those constitutional right sovereign citizen guys and
Yes,
argues about the gold fringe on the flag.
it's very funny. I do not recognize the authority of a court that flies the gold fringe flag. The gold fringe flag signals a naval court. A naval court means this is a court martial, and I cannot be court martialed twice.
Yeah.
Furthermore, and they said bailiff gag him.
This
The bailiff.
is really one of the extra sad things about Johnny Hardwick rest in peace, not
He's
being
a
with
hard
us
worker.
anymore. Yeah, Johnny Hardwork. Is in the reboot. We now don't get to see Dale just being one of those guys that hangs out outside of a courthouse filming everything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but
really
it's
sad.
very funny that Dale is doing the sovereign citizen stuff here in the late 90s before it
Yeah.
became
He really,
popularized
yeah,
today
he
with people
blazed a
that
trail.
people that aren't, they make up their own license plates and all this crazy stuff.
Love it.
A lot of, but so the bailiff approaches Dale to silence him. Dale immediately swallows his cigarette. The bailiff puts a piece of tape over his mouth and smoke comes out of his nose. I just
Love it.
thought that was a very funny visual scene here. Um, so Bobby is going to interject and try to stick up for his dad and tell him that he only wanted, he was just trying to catch a fish. Because Judge Roland McFarlane is so creative with his sentencing, he tells him that you're going to take me fishing and you got to catch a fish with a crack rock or you're going to jail.
Yeah, either you reel one in tomorrow or the two of you are going to spend the next 24 months making state license plates. That's an insane sentence for possession of crack, right? 2 years?
um
Is
that's
that
probably pretty
standard?
good. That's probably pretty good for white people.
Possession, like first ever criminal offense just for possession?
Um
Actually, no,
so
they were just
no, yeah. So
intent to purchase.
a part of the Ronald Reagan war on drugs was mandatory minimums were kind of a whole thing, and then that starts to get into like the prison industrial complex and like how it's bad and why it profits is like
Let's talk about it.
mandatory minimums.
Damn, two
So
years.
it could have been a mandatory. I don't know if that's actually the mandatory minimum. I feel like it could have been much longer than 2 years actually.
If
Um,
anyone is a criminal historian in the Nephews,
yeah.
please let us know. Also, John Redcorn is in the stands. I made a note of.
Yes, I'd noticed John Redcorn is over his shoulder. Doesn't say anything in this
Why?
episode, but
And
we
he's
get a
sitting
sighting
next
of
to
him.
Nancy, I think,
Yeah, well,
which is funny.
Nancy's there because Dale is her husband, and John Redcorn is there for support in case she gets a migraine.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, the judge initially doesn't believe Hank's story, but he changes his
course.
mind because of his haircut. I
Yep.
think he says like you've got an honest man's haircut or something like
Yeah.
that. But yeah,
Which is
yeah,
code for white.
the judge says, yeah, catch a fish or you're going to jail. Bangs the gavel. Next
Best
up
part of the
is
episode.
next up is going to be Fidelity Insurance versus Layaway Ray's bait shop.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he got
They
caught.
it came back. And the sentence thing from like two really good callbacks that tie up just like small one-off jokes.
Yep.
Which is so
Pretty well written episode. I agree.
good.
I agree. So we're out on the lake the next day. Um, we're fishing. Dale says, "Wingo," starts to reel one in.
They've got a court
Pulls.
martial in the boat with them too.
Yeah,
Fucking cop there.
they've got the bailiff in there with them. Yeah, Dale reels this fish in. The judge grabs it, bangs it on the side of the boat. It's a frozen fish. Dale,
So he
you
just
jib.
had it on his line already
Yeah,
the whole
like how did
time.
he get it there? Who knows? But it's very funny. Um, yeah, super funny. Dale says, "I caught it. That's my position." Hank is like, "Dale, if you were gonna buy a fish, why'd you buy a frozen fish?" And he said, "I had a coupon."
Yeah, he calls him a giblet head too,
He
which
calls
I
him a
love.
giblet head. Uh, the
So at this
judge,
point, I wrote, I bet the red-headed fish saves him with an old-fashioned worm.
yeah,
That was my guess at this
you were
point
making
in the episode.
predictions.
So I was almost
Not too
right.
far off, but yeah, the judge says, "All right, 5 more minutes," and then we're calling it. And then he tells the bailiff, um, "Get up, His Honor wants a pudding," which I thought was really funny that he's gonna eat this pudding here.
Yeah, judges
Um,
love pudding.
Notoriously, Texas judges love pudding. Um, Hank, they've got 5 minutes left on the clock. Hank is gonna look longingly at the worm, and we get some nice emotional music.
His last worm.
His last worm. Dale is like, Dale's like, Hank, you can't cheat. He already told it, like he warned us if we cheat, he's gonna make our sentences longer. And Hank gives this inspirational speech about, like, we're going to jail, I want my last memory to be, fishing with a hand dug American worm.
Yep.
And we get this, picturesque music. We get a lot of
Birds
shots of this
chirping,
nature scene.
frog croaking, dragonfly, dragon
Sun is starting
thing.
to set. It's a real picturesque, beautiful day of fishing. And we get as they're rowing the boat back, we do get a funny little aside here of the judge eating that pudding cup with his hands.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see that? It's
I'll
very
find a
Ron.
screenshot. What?
It's very Ron DeSantis of him.
Rhonda Sandy. Shout
Yeah.
out.
Did have you heard about that old pudding
No, I
hands,
know
Ron?
he.
I thought you were on the
No.
internet and stuff.
I am. I
Yeah,
know
no.
about his high heels and
Yeah, well, if you know about his high heels, one of his other things notoriously is he ate some pudding with his hands.
is there photographic evidence?
There's no photo evidence of
Ah.
Ron DeSantis eating
Well,
pudding
I'll
with
find
his
a
hands,
meme.
but
I'll put it
yeah,
on the screen. That's
yeah,
great.
look
You'll
into
love
it.
to
Yeah.
hear it.
So the judge eats the pudding with his hands.
I do have a qualm, I guess.
Before we get to the qualm, we got to resolve the episode.
Well, no,
Hank,
it's with this
oh,
particular
it does.
moment. He
Oh, okay.
reels in the fish, and it's like a
Mhm.
tiny little guy, which I
Yes.
get. It's like a new fish that isn't addicted to crack.
Yep.
It would have been really fun if it was the fish with the red spot.
Yeah, I thought it would have
Earlier.
been nice if it would have been the fish with the red spot. But Hank reels in a fish on the worm, and the judge says, "You're free to go."
Yeah, so fast.
Dale's like, "She's a beaut." Hank's like, this is the best fish I've ever caught."
He
It's
gets his
very-
cute Polaroid
Mhm.
with the bailiff and the judge.
So he was saved by the hand dug American worm
Yeah,
in the end.
tied up perfectly
Mm-hmm.
with a nice little bow.
Yep. And that was the end. That was the end of the episode there.
Excellent. You want to jump right into the alley, talk about our final thoughts?
Yes, dude. Let's do it. Let's get in the alley. Take it out back.
I'm gonna buy you a drink.
This, of course, is the segment of the show where we give our final thoughts and we give the episode a rating based on a 6-pack of Alamo brews. How many brews are you pulling out for the episode and why?
You want to start with qualms? You want to start with my qualm?
Let's cover your qualm.
Cover my
earlier.
qualm.
I'd love to know your qualm.
My qualm is unfinished storyline business. I wanted more. I wanted more
Luann?
I wanted more Luann and the truck.
Yeah, dude, I always want Luann.
I thought that could have been a very funny storyline. I thought it could have been funny if Peggy was helping fix the truck.
Yeah.
We also got some funny stuff about in the beginning of the episode, Bobby being worried about who's going to take care of him if something happens to his parents. And I thought as Hank was going to jail, we could have seen maybe a bit more of Bobby getting really worked up and worried, or maybe
like one like slight reference. Yeah. I understand why they didn't include that. Like you got to fit it into 22 minutes.
Yeah, the Bobby thing is minor, but there could have been more with the truck and Luann.
Yeah, but like think of all of the other good quality jokes that they would have had to sacrifice to do that.
Yeah.
I think that is, if anything, I think that's a testament to how good of an episode this was, is it just left us wanting more in the best possible way. Because everything was like tied up in the way that it needed to be, I think.
Yeah, and I guess we're left to assume that Luann, because of her mechanic prowess so far, would be able to fix the truck. But I just thought we could have had a little bit of a B plot.
Don't get me wrong. I'm always a fan of having more Luann. You know me. I'm the number one Lou stan in the world.
Yeah, so that was my qualm.
Brother. I would agree. That is a bit of a qualm, and it does. I don't know if it knocks a beer off for me. It's more like I wish that it also had this.
Yeah, I think while we're talking beers here, I think I'm landing right in a five. Right in a
5.
fiver. Yeah.
I think I'm going 6, dude.
Oh,
I think it's got
six
to be.
beers.
This might be my favorite episode so far.
Nice.
This one was great. I loved it. It's a
Yeah.
6, and I'm fucking tapping the bottom of the can to get the last drop
Yeah.
out of there. I'm
I
sucking it dry.
I liked how naive and dumb Hank was and didn't know that he was doing a drug deal.
Yes, and all of the parallels to him using fishing as a coping mechanism. All of the
Mm-hmm.
scenes with him and the guys were really funny. His interactions with Peggy were funny. We had a good chuckle from Luann with the yoga thing.
Yep.
We had like a
Layaway
little bit of
raise.
Bobby. Yeah, the layaway race thing, that's what sealed it for me. That arson
Mm-hmm.
little gag,
Yep.
like they didn't have to resolve all of that, those extra just like little throwaway jokes,
I
but
liked
they
that we
did.
got I liked that we got Dale being kind of his typical anti-government type of
Yep,
shtick. We got
we
Dale
got
Dale
good
was really
Dale.
in his element.
It feels like Dale's character is starting to develop a little more in the show at this point. Also,
Definitely.
that weird moment of Peggy being like a fucking
Breaks the
like
chair leg. Yeah.
rogue assassin for a second. Like, does that come up more? Does Peggy turn into like a badass? I don't think so. Like, what was that? But it was cool and it was funny. So
Yeah.
yeah, this one's a clear 6 in my eyes.
It's definitely a five for me. I think I might no, I think just yeah, I think I'm
Hey,
sticking
you
at
can go
five.
5, man.
I think I'm sticking at five. And the only thing that doesn't go higher for me is I kind of wanted a beeline,
More
be a
Luann.
story. I
Yeah.
wanted more Luann. I
I'm
wanted
with
more
I'm
of the
with you
truck.
on that. I'm with you on that, and I wish that we had that.
It seems like they
But
kind of set it in the first act, like with the impound lot and the Luann, like being ready to fit. Like it felt like they planted that seed, and I'm sure they maybe
yeah.
had something there and it got cut for time. But yeah, I think that's the only
Yeah.
thing
I
that
think that was
knocked it for
just
me.
like that's like kind of a pretty typical like sitcom story device. Like Family Guy does it, The Simpsons do it, especially like way more in later seasons. Like you have that opening scene be the setup for the main conflict, with the setup being almost a completely different storyline.
Yeah,
Like with this Simpsons episode that also aired this same day, like it starts with them watching TV and there's an advertisement for this soccer game and they get all intrigued with soccer and then they go to the stadium and then
and
it
then
ends
that
up starting this
storyline is
riot that
completely
turns into,
abandoned by
yeah,
the end.
and it's
Yeah,
we never get anything more about the soccer game because that was just put in to like get us where we need to go. I think that
yeah,
it was that kind of situation, but I still am always a fan of Luann as an A or a B plot.
hell yeah.
So
Well, 5.5 for me, or five for me, six for
oh,
you.
oh,
Ooh,
you said
oh.
5.5. You're
Uh,
toying with my
actually,
heart.
I think I'm confident with a 5.5. I'll go up to 5.5.
My man,
Yeah. Now that we talk about it more,
join
um,
me.
since I drove the mower, do you want to declare your king first?
Let's do the final
God dang it, Bobby,
segment.
God dang it, Bobby, God dang it, God dang it, Bobby, God dang it, Bobby, God dang it, God dang it, Bobby, God dang it, Bobby, God dang it, God dang it, Bobby, God dang it, Bobby, God dang it, Bobby, 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 dang it, Bobby, 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 dang it, Bobby.
Hey, this is the last segment of the show. This is the Hill King segment, the titular segment of our little podcast here, where we crown the MVP of the episode, the number one, the top performer. Who do we think? I'm going to go first because you're the mower man. And my gut is telling me Hank,
Yep.
but I am going to stick with my gut.
Nice. Hank it is.
I've now
Dang, is
chosen
that two
Hank.
Hanks in a row for you?
I think I've had 3 Hanks this season,
Whoa.
and we
You're a
are
new man. It's
5
We're
episodes in. How
almost
is
a
that
quarter of the
possible?
way done. Wow.
Damn.
Dang.
Yeah, Hank. I mean,
2024.
it was a Hank episode. His being naive, not knowing that he's buying
Very funny.
crack was really funny. He kind of fit really well into the straight man
Yep.
for a lot of really funny shit around him. Like him and
Yep.
Dale, all of those interactions were great. His interactions with all the guys, his interactions with the family, with the judge, and especially the drug deal and the bait shop situations were so funny.
Did I miss your Ray is trout of his mind sale?
Yeah, it's Hank for me, dog.
Have you ever caught trout?
I have.
You ever caught a
Yeah.
trouser trout?
That's a penis, man.
I've been trying to work. I've been trying to work that one in all day, baby.
Really? And that's what you chose?
Yep. That's for the folks who stayed until the end.
Check it out.
Who
My
do you
hill,
got? Who's your hill king?
my hill king. You know I like to get a little screwy with my kings.
It's the fish, isn't it?
No, it is the hand dug American worm. Look, Hank.
You're really
Hank,
gonna make me find a fucking screenshot of the worm?
hey, there's good stills of the
Yeah,
worm,
but
but
I'm gonna
Hank
turn it into a PNG and put it on the screen. It's there.
Hank
You
says
can
in the
see it
very
if you're
beginning,
watching. God damn it,
in the
Chris.
very beginning, he says it all starts with a hand dug American worm. It
That
all
is true.
starts.
That's a good point.
So
And
the
I love it.
episode, it all starts and ends with the hand dug American worm.
It
The
does.
hand dug American worm.
Fuck you, man.
The hand dug
That's-
American
that's
worm
good.
saves Hank and Dale's ass.
Yeah, it really
Yep.
does. And it
I-
teaches
so-
us all. It teaches us all a lesson.
Not to do crack.
Yep.
So yeah,
Wow.
it's the
That-
hand dug American worm.
That
for me.
might be your best. I'm making a note. Hand dug American worm. Got
I've
it.
actually started writing down my kings this time,
Yeah,
so we don't.
I'm keeping track as well. We're on our shit this season. I've got a new graphic, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, to track our Hill Kings. And it is a competition.
Yeah.
And we
Well-
will see who comes out on top at the end of the season. That might be your best Hill King choice yet. That was
So
great.
far this season, I think so.
It's on par with the ant.
It's on par with the ant, yeah, for
Is
sure.
it really the worm was everything.
Yeah, it was. It all starts and ends with the hand dug American worm.
And it all starts and ends with us saying that this is the Hill King podcast. Do you like that? You like that
Yeah,
little
baby.
segue?
I do.
You got anything you want to shout out to the people or plug, brother?
Oh no, I've got no plugs or anything like that. Thanks for being here with us, nephews. We appreciate your viewership. We appreciate your listenership. You can follow us on our social medias at Hill Kings Pod. Like, subscribe, 5-star review. Leave us some comments. What do you like?
We love a comment.
Feel free to send us some memes on Instagram. We love
Love
a
a meme.
So do that, and we will see you next time for episode 6, Husky Bobby.
Husky Bobby. Don't remember this one
Husky
either,
Bobby.
but I'm excited for a Bobby app.
Yeah, it's a Bobby. It's got a lot of Bobby.
Have you watched ahead? You've seen it?
Yes, I have watched ahead. I've done my
Okay.
first watch. I haven't done my
Okay.
notes watch.
I am excited.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So that's
you
pretty
heard
much
the
all I got.
man. Do all of that stuff. Follow the stuff, and we will catch y'all
Catch
next
Catch?
time.
like a fish.
Like a fish. Like a fish, man.
Catch you
Yeah.
later.
Like a fish.
Hill Kings Podcast.
Woof.